Internal auditors play an essential role in ensuring that organizations operate efficiently, comply with regulations, and manage risks effectively. They are tasked with examining financial processes, reviewing operational controls, and recommending improvements to strengthen governance. Because of this responsibility, the hiring process for internal audit roles tends to be rigorous, with interviews focusing on technical knowledge, problem-solving ability, communication skills, and integrity. Employers want to know more than just whether you understand audit procedures. They want to see how you think, how you handle complex situations, and how well you can communicate findings in a clear, professional way. An internal audit interview often includes behavioral questions, scenario-based problems, and technical queries. It is not only about your ability to spot weaknesses but also your skill in working with teams to implement solutions. In this video, we will explore common internal audit interview questions, break down sample answers, and provide practical tips to help you prepare effectively. By the end, you'll have a roadmap for showcasing your skills, experience, and professional judgment in a way that resonates with employers. Common internal audit interview questions and answers. 1. Can you explain what internal auditing is and why it is important? Here's how you can answer. Internal auditing is an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value and improve an organization's operations. It helps evaluate and improve risk management, control, and governance processes. Internal auditing is important because it not only ensures compliance and accuracy in financial reporting but also identifies areas where efficiency can be improved. Ultimately, it protects the organization from risks while supporting better decision-making. 2. What steps do you take when planning an audit? Here's how you can answer. When planning an audit, I start by understanding the scope and objectives. I gather background information about the department or process being audited, assess potential risks, and identify the key controls in place. Next, I develop an audit plan that outlines the procedures, timelines, and resources needed. By preparing thoroughly at the planning stage, I ensure that the audit is structured, efficient, and focused on areas that matter most. 3. How do you test the effectiveness of internal controls? Here's how you can answer. I test internal controls by using both inquiry and evidence-based methods. For example, I may first discuss procedures with staff to understand the process, then request supporting documentation or perform walkthroughs to verify. I also use sampling techniques to test whether controls are applied consistently. The goal is not only to confirm compliance but also to determine whether the controls are adequate in reducing risks. 4. Can you describe a time you found a major issue during an audit? How did you handle it? Here's how you can answer. In a previous role, I discovered that vendor payments were being processed without sufficient review, creating a risk of duplicate or fraudulent payments. Instead of immediately escalating, I first documented the issue, gathered supporting evidence, and discussed it with the department head to confirm my understanding. Once verified, I included it in the audit report with recommendations for strengthening the review process. The management appreciated that I approached the issue constructively, and new controls were quickly implemented. 5. How do you handle situations where management disagrees with your findings? Here's how you can answer. I remain professional and focus on facts. I present evidence clearly and explain the risk associated with the finding. If management disagrees, I listen carefully to their perspective and consider whether additional information might change the conclusion. However, if the risk is significant, I stand by the recommendation while maintaining a collaborative approach. For example, once a manager disagreed with my suggestion on segregation of duties, but after I demonstrated how lack of separation could lead to financial exposure, they understood and implemented the change. 6. What auditing tools or software have you used? Here's how you can answer. I have used several auditing tools depending on the organization. For example, I have experience with SQL and IDEA for data analysis, TeamMate for audit management, and Excel for sampling and reporting. These tools streamline the audit process by allowing better data analysis, documentation, and communication of findings. I also stay open to learning new platforms since technology continues to evolve in auditing. 7. How do you ensure independence and objectivity in your work? Here's how you can answer. Independence and objectivity are at the core of internal auditing. I avoid auditing areas where I have previously worked directly or where conflicts of interest could arise. I also base my conclusions strictly on evidence rather than personal opinions. Maintaining professional skepticism and adhering to the international standards for the professional practice of internal auditing ensures that my work remains unbiased. 8. What is risk-based auditing, and why is it important? Here's how you can answer. Risk-based auditing focuses on identifying and prioritizing areas of highest risk within the organization. Instead of auditing all processes equally, we direct resources toward areas that could have the most significant impact on financial, operational, or compliance outcomes. This approach is important because it ensures efficiency, adds more value to the organization, and strengthens risk management efforts. 9. How do you communicate audit findings to management? Here's how you can answer. I tailor my communication depending on the audience. For senior management, I present findings in a concise, solution-oriented way, highlighting key risks and recommended actions. For department staff, I provide more detail and context so they understand how changes affect daily operations. I also ensure the report is written clearly, avoiding jargon, and focusing on actionable recommendations. 10. Why do you want to work as an internal auditor in our company? Here's how you can answer. I want to work as an internal auditor here because your organization values transparency, compliance, and continuous improvement. I believe my skills in risk analysis, audit planning, and control testing align well with your needs. Beyond technical expertise, I bring a collaborative approach that ensures audit recommendations are practical and achievable. I see this role as an opportunity to contribute to safeguarding the company's assets while supporting long-term growth. Tips for excelling in an internal audit interview. To succeed in an internal audit interview, preparation is key. Be ready to discuss both your technical knowledge and your interpersonal skills. Employers want auditors who can analyze data, identify risks, and communicate findings clearly. Using real-life examples in your answers demonstrates credibility and experience. Another important tip is to showcase your professionalism and integrity. Internal auditors often deal with sensitive information, and hiring managers need reassurance that you can maintain confidentiality and ethical standards. Finally, highlight adaptability. Internal auditing covers a wide range of processes, from finance to operations to compliance. Show that you can adjust quickly, learn new systems, and provide value across different departments. Demonstrating flexibility and curiosity will make you stand out as a candidate who can grow within the organization. Conclusion. Internal audit interview questions are designed to test your technical expertise, problem-solving ability, and ethical judgment. By preparing for common questions, practicing clear and confident answers, and using examples from your experience, you can demonstrate that you are capable of delivering value through auditing. Employers are not only looking for someone who can identify problems but also for a professional who can communicate findings constructively and help implement improvements. If you combine technical accuracy with strong interpersonal skills, you will be well prepared to succeed in your internal audit interview and build a rewarding career in this vital field.